Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
And today we're going to be delving back into another Unearthed Arcana. We're going to be reviewing the Order domain.
Jump down to the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
We want to thank our sponsor for this video, ourselves! All joking aside, through your support, it greatly helps the channel, and we have various shirts over on the Nerdarchy store. You can check out the Stay Nerdy shirt that we're going to be featuring in this video. With that, let's jump into the actual content. Another Unearthed Arcana came out, and we like to, put those out right away the following week after we've had time to read them, digest them a little bit, and see what those crazy folks over at Wizards of the Coast are up to now.
All right, so we get a new cleric domain. This was kind of loosely talked about, or kind of in detail, I should say, over on the Mike Mearls Happy Fun Hour. He talked about this as well as the Giant Soul Sorcerer. I think it was February 27th, so you can go check that out if you want to get more in-depth from Mr. Mearls himself.
Or at least check out the design notes.
Yeah.
So this is actually very timely, and I wonder if it kind of speaks to the things that are to come. If it's going to be in Mordenkainen Tome of Foes, like maybe he kind of workshopped it, on the Happy Fun Hour, maybe not.
Well, I personally have not watched them. It's something that's on my agenda is to start doing that on a regular basis. But previewing and looking to see what he talked about, he does have the Mordenkainen's Tomb of Foes, Tome. Keep getting it wrong. Tome of Foes.
One we read, one we put you in.
You
read no more.
Wizards like both. Anyway, he does have that logo up on the Happy Fun Hour. So I'm leading to say that these are the archetypes he's talking about, or subclasses, are things that are going to appear in said book.
Well, and that being said, too, the Mordenkainen Tome of Foes is very cosmic in nature. So things like law and order and chaos, things like that, war throughout the cosmos and the cosmology is something that's going to be talked about. So it would be fitting in that product for a domain of order to appear. Now, reading through it, there was one thing that I didn't like about the domain, the way it was described. Like, it very much is about law and lawfulness. Mm-hmm. But like, I, in my own games, look at lawfulness not always as just being about the written law and laws of society, but actually in the way someone approaches life. If they're very ordered and organized, I feel like they could be lawful without necessarily adhering to the laws of a particular land. And it's kind of arbitrary anyway, right? You go to one kingdom, these are the laws. You go to another one, these are the laws.
Yes.
You were born here, or you maybe even made the laws over here. What do these laws over there mean to you? So it feels like there's a lot of wiggle room there. So in my own game, I would just expand the domain to also encompass the concept of order as opposed to chaos, and not necessarily just in the idea of law as in the laws that created by people.
From an RP aspect, or technically from a descriptor mechanic thing, this would be the law and order domain is the way I would have to do it, and it leans, especially from just the way they're describing it, it leans more heavily towards that law than it does about order and structure. Mechanically, it breaks down. You get bonus proficiency and the voice of authority at first level. Second level, as always, you get a channel divinity, orders demand. Sixth level, you get the orders domain. Eighth level, you get the divine strike. 17th level, you get orders wrath.
You shocked me with that 8th-level ability.
We'll get to that when we get to it. Part of the challenge, I think, when designing a cleric domain is that they are so front heavy with stuff 1, 2, 6, 8, and then you have a massive 9-level gap before you get anything else for your specific domain. I'm not trying to say that clerics are underpowered in any way, shape, or form. I'm not. Cleric is actually one of my favorite classes to play in 5e or in D&D by itself, but I just feel that the flavor is wrapped up in your subclass, and having that many levels different, it's stretched to be able to say, okay, well, how can I find a way to wrap it all together.
Well, I will say though, like with clerics, a lot of times their first level abilities tend to be pretty good.
So yeah, with that, as always, you're going to wind up getting an assortment of spells that are added to your domain. And with clerics, domain spells they're always considered prepared. They don't count against your spells prepared based off of your level and your wisdom. And a lot of times they are things that are outside the typical cleric list. So first level you get command and heroism. Third level you get access to enhance ability and hold person. Fifth level you get mass healing word and slow. Seventh level you get compulsion and locate creature. Ninth level you're going to get commune and dominate person. So pretty good things there. Handful of them that are definitely outside the typical cleric spectrum, which I always love seeing.
And 5 of them are enchantment spells, which that'll be more important later on.
Right. So first level, as is heavily typical, and I use heavy on purpose.
Pun intended. Is that what you're saying?
Fun intended. They get heavy armor proficiency, and with a cleric that is about enforcing laws. This one totally fits. I see no problem with seeing this cleric, the heavy war mace, over his shoulder, strutting through the town, making sure that people are following the laws. Totally fits.
Yeah, it's very authoritarian in its nature, and also like I guess in the beginning text, like we didn't get into the fact that this is a domain that's available to a wide swath of deities as far as good and evil. Because as long as you are authoritarian, then this makes sense for for you as a deity.
Right. First level, you also get Voice of Authority. You can invoke the power of law to drive an ally to attack. So immediately after you cast a spell that targets someone, and you're using a spell slot of first level or higher, that ally can use their reaction to make one melee weapon attack against a creature of your choice. So it's kind of cool. If you target a group of people, you still choose which person can use their reaction. This is really nice way of giving the rogue an extra chance to sneak attack, or giving someone an opportunity to just unload some extra damage in it. And there's ways to really compound this extra damage, and we'll see that later on. But it's a really good ability, and you get it right away. So
if you combine this ability with Commander Strike and a rogue in the party, then all of a sudden it changes things up a lot, and that the rogue is just got so much more effective.
So all right, and that is just your first level. So yeah, this is already an action-packed thematic build. Second level, you get Order's Demand. You can use your Channel Divinity to exert an intimidating presence over others. As an action, you can present your holy symbol to each creature of your choice that you can see or hear you within 30 feet, and they succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be charmed by you until the end of your next turn, or until the charmed creature takes any damage. You can cause any of the charmed creatures to fall prone if they fail their saving throw. So you can be just like, darn it, on your knees. I kind of like that.
Bowled over by my awesomeness.
It really speaks to that law and order. I have a presence here. You will bow before me because I say so.
It is like a cool Judge Dredd ability. It's like, I am the law.
So we're at first level, we're at second level, and this is sounding very, very thematic. And if you want to get into that law structure, it really works out well.
And kind of going into what you're talking about earlier, this is why they had so many open levels. I mean, between having prepared spells, which is a huge deal for a spellcaster, like they're getting an extra 2 spells a level that they have access to, so there's a lot of utility there, and even just these 2 abilities already, and wearing plus heavy armor. There's a reason why they're not getting as much till later. It's because they get so much good stuff on the front.
Right. So 6th level, we get Order's Dominion. And this is really cool as you get into it until you actually get into it.
Yeah, run the numbers.
So, and we ran the numbers on it. So the way it works is when you cast an enchantment spell of 2nd level or higher, you regain 1 spell slot of a lower level as long as the spell you're casting is enchantment. Sounds pretty cool. The spell slot you regain must be a level lower than the spell you cast and can't be higher than 5th. And it's like, wow, that's really impressive. Clerics cast lots of spells throughout the day. I'm going to be able to get things back all the time. And then we went and ran the numbers.
And I even made a mistake in the numbers because, like, I thought it was better than what we have written down. Or I mean, I thought I thought it was as good as what we have written down, but actually, it's not. Because like a third of the spells you would have access to qualify don't qualify because they're first level spells.
All right. So the way we broke it down, we looked with our trusty friends on D&D Beyond, we went over there and said, okay, let's look at cleric spells that are enchantment, and there are 7. There's 3 first, 3 second, 1 fifth. Ouch! That 5th level spell, the only one that's going to get you bumpty is Geas, however you want to pronounce it. I don't see a lot of Geas being used over the course of regular play.
Now, when we go into the prepared spells, it gets a little better because we do get another 5th.
So let me finish. So that leaves you with 3 second level spells that you could cast that fall under enchantment. But because you have your order domain spells, there's a couple more.
Yeah. So, we go from what it was 7 to 9, but then we have to take 3 of them and throw them out because they're first level. So you end up with 3 second, 1 fourth, and 2 fifth.
So if you're going to use those specific spells on a regular basis, yeah, it's going to work out really well for you. And you might have to plan your character. I'm going to use these things on a regular basis to get that ability. But you have to go in and you have to plan for that. You have to strategize those spells on your list, and you're going to use them. Otherwise, this ability is going to fall to the wayside. And
we have something to compare it to as well.
Right.
It is exactly the same as the Diviner's ability, but the difference is the Diviner actually gets a lot more spells spread out throughout the levels as well. Now, we came up with 18, but it's probably lower than that when we start excluding the first level spells.
Right. There's like 4 or 5 first level spell slots, or 4 to 5 5th level divination wizard spells, but they do range all the way up to 9th. There's 5th level, there's 6th level, there's 9th level. So you're going to be able to get far more use out of it as a wizard diviner ability than as a cleric order ability.
So it becomes almost situational and kind of ribbonish. But at first you're really like, wow, this is amazing. This is a great ability. And then you start having diminishing returns from there.
So perhaps Morning Canaan will be able to share with us some cleric enchantment spells.
That would be super helpful.
That might totally destroy this whole argument. But we get into the latter half of this particular cleric's build, and that is focused entirely upon the much debated issue of the Divine Strike.
I'm not sure if it's much debate. It might just be our group that debates it much.
So I think there's some groups out there that agree with us, and some out there that play the more combat heavy clerics that are like, oh well, I really like this ability and blah blah. To each their own. But Divine Strike, once a turn, when you hit with a melee weapon attack, you're going to do an extra die 8 force damage at 14th level. It bumps to 2 die 8. It's once a turn. It's extra damage when you hit with a melee attack. Not great, not horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's a decent ability. It's going to go off, and the fact that it's force damage is helpful. It's one of the more bland abilities in 5e that we find. So we've kind of like railed on this one for a long time, so we won't bother.
But here is the first time I'm pseudo excited about Divine Strike, because it's 17th level. You've got Order's Wrath. And here is where it's like, yes, now I see all the pieces falling together. Starting at 17th level, enemies you designate for destruction wilt under the combined efforts of you and your allies. If you deal your Divine Strike damage to a creature, that creature takes an extra 2d8 force damage the first time each turn that any of your allies hits it with a weapon attack. This benefit lasts until the start of your next turn. So this works out really well. I smack the guy, everyone in of my allies then beats it and does an extra 2d8 force damage. This works out well. You combine that with, again, Commander Strike. If this particular cleric wound up taking 2 levels of fighter, uses an action surge, does his, voice of authority and casts a spell. Oh, I'm giving you a thing. Well, you're attacking on my turn, so you're going to get the damage this turn, and when you attack on your turn, you can really get some technical, tactical stuff out of this ability. It's a lot to work up to because it's 17th level, but once you get there, whatever party this guy is traveling with, they're going to hit hard.
Yeah, it becomes there's probably a lot of great ways to abuse this ability and really double down on it. So yeah, it's a good one. You had to wait, a while to get it. I mean, there's, I don't know, like 9 levels that pass before you get something else, but that something else is really good.
Well, I mean, you're still getting your base cleric abilities, but it's the specific domain stuff that, 9 levels in between Divine Strike and Odor's Wrath, but what you're getting for that, I mean, there's no usage on this. It's, you hit it, as long as you're successfully attacking, an entire round of everybody who beats on that thing does extra damage. That's just money.
Unless it's a Helm Horror.
Okay, but if you're 17th level fighting a Helm Horror, I think you got, you don't necessarily need to be relying on this.
You're good anyway. Now, all in all, it is a really good cleric domain. I like it. It's one of the ones I would definitely play. I like the theme of it. I think it's thematic. I might tweak it a little bit if I didn't want to just be like the I am the law character and I was more into the order aspect of it. Like maybe you're a follower of Mechanus or something, or Primus, and you wanted to fall into that category more so, or even I feel like even like maybe like Tinker type gods would also be kind of ordered as well, possibly. So there's definitely a lot of ways to insert this into your game. It's got some good value to it. Nothing screams, this is out of pace, this is broken, or this is too weak. For the most part, I think the whole thing's going to be useful.
My only beef is I really hope that Mordenkainen shares some cleric enchantment spells with us. And if even 2 or 3 spread throughout 2nd through 5th, I'm golden.
Well, that being said, though, like the other abilities are good enough to me to be like, all right, so what? This one ability is a little bit weak in comparison, but everything, there's so much win here.
Yeah, the 1st, 2nd, and 17th level abilities are phenomenal, and the other stuff, is what it is.
So the question is, guys, what do you think? Are you going to be using this in your game? Are you already using it in your game? We got a place where we can talk about it and discuss. That is down in the comments below. While you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
You can check out the store over on nerdarchy.com.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.